Hello everybody, my name is Susanne and this year I'm participating in NaNoWriMo for the first time ever. I first learned about NaNoWriMo, or National Novel Writing Month, through Katie Tastic on YouTube and her NaNoWriMo vlogs. I think it was 2012, and at that time I learned about it, it was too late to participate that year. And from the first time I heard about it, I was very intrigued about it. I've never really written anything, but as an avid reader I've kind of wanted to write a novel, but I'm just not very interested in actually writing it. I like to make them up in my head, but they never really get out of my head. But then in 2013 and 2014 I tried to participate each year, but somehow November ended up being the busiest month ever for me both years, so it just wasn't possible. But this year I actually have the time to participate. As of the 21st of November I'm on track. When I started this novel writing month, one of my few ideas was whether or not to outline it all, because I've seen a lot of vlogs about NaNoWriMo and just YouTube videos in general, and people are always like, you have to outline the story, and for a lot of them they could go in a lot of detail about the story. For me, if I went into so much detail about my story, I would feel as if I had already written it and I wouldn't really get around to actually writing it. For the first time I just tried no outlining, I just wrote and I hoped for the best, and it kind of sucked. As I wrote, sometimes I would get this idea for how I wanted the characters to do something, and I would just add this scene in, and it wouldn't make sense without any build-up, and sometimes I would just have this scene to further the plot line, but it could have been done better, and then I would need to rewrite it. And just in general, if I wanted this story to actually work, I would have to rewrite all of it, and that's never gonna happen. So I just kind of stopped writing that story. I'm still keeping the word count though for NaNoWriMo, because it was 20,000 words. That's a lot of words to just throw out the window. And I outlined a new story, which I'm writing now, and it's going great so far. My outline is not very detailed. I have the chapters and I have the titles for the chapters, and then I have bullet points of how the plot is gonna progress. I still have room for imagination, I still have room for making up as I go along, but I kind of have put some limitations of where I can go, and I have put some limitations on what I have to have in the story. I also wanted to see whether or not I could write on a schedule, and short story is no, I can't. I write in spurts, so I'll write 5,000 words one day, and then I'll go 2-3 days without writing a single word, and then I'll write 4,000 words, and it works out, except that I do it behind. So I get to the point where I'm supposed to be for that day, and then I go 2-3 days without writing, and I'm like, oh no, I'm 5,000 words behind, and I write the 5,000 words, and then I go 2-3 days without writing, and then I'm back to the same thing. But obviously I'm not one of those people who can write every day. That's not ever gonna be me. My story right now doesn't have a title. I've called it The Kingdom of, and then I have a fancy name which is made up of 2 Latin words, so yeah, I might change that. It's a bit cheesy. But right now it's just an easy way to find names. I do the same with my characters, except I don't use Latin names. I use Hindu names and African names and Asian names, also Scandinavian names. My protagonist has this actually a Danish name that I've never heard before as a Dane. The actual plot is after a revolution tore this kingdom apart. The leader of the revolution was crowned king, so he sends for this rebel leader who helped him during the war that he doesn't really like at all, Lady Safi, and he asks her to be his advisor as they try to kind of make the kingdom prosper and kind of get it back on its feet, because obviously this very long, very brutal war has torn the country apart, and they're very poor and they're just trying to survive right now. I'm not sure what I'll do with my story when it's done. Right now I'm thinking I'll maybe give it to my family in like a Christmas present if they want it. I'm not sure if they do. Well, that's it about NaNoWriMo for me. Are you participating in NaNoWriMo? Why or why not? And if you are you on track, or are you someone like me who gets behind and then has to do a lot of follow-up work? Either way, tell me down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!